needed justice for all.
Minutes of the meeting on September 9th are included with your other papers. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved. Brent Nicholson. Second.
Kevin Grothman seconds. Any further discussion? Further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Did we get any correspondence about living in campers?
We did, and I thought I'd forward it on to everybody. So how many do we still have living in campers in town?
Well, I've been driving by, and now it looks to me like Keith is living in his camper. The windows are open on it. His pickup's been parked in the driveway there.
Which one's that?
That's the one over by
The house that burned.
across the street, by where you guys used to live.
Okay.
So, that, and then Trudy's camper that's sitting over there, that we're not sure if somebody's living in it or not. Those are the only two.
That's been there for quite a while, yeah.
Those are the only two that I'm aware of. Anybody have any others that they've seen?
I'd at least talked to him about him. I don't know if he said he was going to get it.
Well, you're looking for that. We can cover some of these others. We got, of course, the Historical Society's Pioneer Building. I think everybody, Matt Miller just joined the meeting, so 5:33. Pioneer Building at belonging to the Historical Society, you guys approved over the phone after receiving Midwest Buildings permit. Trail County Water Resource District. Is that the building that used to be Larry Mueller's?
Correct.
Okay.
Right here.
And they're putting a new roof on. Dwayne Hongard. Windows?
Yeah. It's already done, I think. I mean, we approved that, but I think it was replacing. Yeah, house window maintenance, repair, and replace if necessary.
And then Ag Country is adding their logo to the outside of their building.
Yeah, I don't see anything on that one.
Morehart,
Shouldn't that one be a part of the main
could have been.
permit that they
I would
already
have
have?
included that, but you know,
Yeah.
when Casey's, they made a separate thing for all of the artwork they did on the outside of their building.
Maybe they added this after the fact. Maybe. After they got it redone.
I can see where you wouldn't think about it maybe at the time you're
Yeah.
trying to do the building.
So is there just an addendum to that where there's a nominal fee?
Well, instead of going to,
I don't know if we should be charging for another.
So they paid a pretty significant fee for their original. I
Right.
think we could maybe waive it.
I know it's an afterthought, but it's a minor afterthought that's not really affecting much, but wasn't it? And it was already on there before, was it not?
yeah.
I think we could.
They probably just getting a new updated one.
Right.
You can approve with waiving the fee, that's fine.
So we could, on that one, we could accept it as an addendum to their original document and then waive the fee.
Yeah, wait.
If somebody would like to make a motion.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay. Wait. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Maybe we better have Matt second. Could be.
Do we have the original permit? Is that,
Not on me, I don't, or not with, I can look it up here in just a second.
Where's the one for this one? I never seen that one.
either? Our concern is, what do we consider an addendum to an original permit? There we are, perfect.
It was just a hefty project value in the beginning, just for a remodel.
I mean, for a second, I think it's worthwhile to do an addendum to it, but what does that do for us? What do we consider an addendum in the future? Do we have that defined? Maybe that's a topic for next time.
Well, that's true. Put it off.
Have we had them before? Yeah, we did.
And let
Normally we haven't gotten any add-ons, but I can remember in the last while, so.
I seconded due to the fact that it was such a substantial remodel to begin, that this should have been part of that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Or do we want to include this on our next month's agenda to do a better job at defining addendum?
I would like that, yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same sign. The motion carries. The country logo application will be attached to their original building permit.
Number 24-047.
24-047. Morehart is adding concrete. And I think there were flags in the lawn. I drove by one day to look at that. I did not
I
notice.
didn't get to look at it.
It's far enough back, the way it looked from it.
Okay.
Yeah, they're hard to see. You gotta,
Really
He's
get
got it
back
back in there, so.
but they're there.
It's not messing with any lot lines or.
It looked like it to me.
Wasn't it the replacement in kind?
No,
Or that's a
no,
storage shed?
no, it's a new build.
So it's just a slab, not there's no footings or anything like that?
No, it's just a slab, and then he's putting it on there.
Pole camp, anybody recall the project?
Concrete work.
Yep, that was that one I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's just doing concrete work up against his garage. It must be binding or something.
Yeah, it was last week or something, yeah.
He's replacing in kind with a 6x25 foot, because
Okay.
it's
Yep.
damaging his current garage.
And then Levi, you put a permit in for carpet replacement.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't want anybody to say I didn't turn anything in.
So, is there anyone willing to make a motion on the remaining permits that we have here?
Wow, is there any additional on these?
No, the only one that came in today that she was adding on was, no, it wasn't mine. It was actually 69, which is,
Go downhill.
St. John Lutheran Church concrete replacement, 15 by 25. Take out bag section of concrete and pour in new sidewalk, existing footprint, same size, same location.
You've seen it,
Front door.
lighting the front door probably.
This comes right out of the front door on Harfex. We've patched it and the crack's getting wider.
It seemed to me that one of the times that I was there, the front door was actually binding on the concrete.
Yeah, it does.
Do we want to add that to the list of projects for approval today?
Well, Dan called me on it. He wants to try to get started on it, bust it up tomorrow and get it poured Wednesday.
This is replacement in kind.
Yep.
Make a motion to add and approve.
Matt Miller makes a motion to add St. John's Lutheran concrete project, which is a replacement. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Brent Mickelson seconds the motion. Any further discussion? Further discussion? Further discussion? Motion is to add the St. John's project to the list of current building permits. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'd entertain a motion on approval of the list of building permits then.
So moved.
Dave makes the motion.
I'll second.
Kevin Grothman seconds. Any further discussion? Further discussion? Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Alrighty.
Kind of backtracking here, but on Alan, on that concrete, on that, I was sent to Midwest, he's saying.
So we held off because we let her know that it was gonna go to Midwest and they're not moving forward with it. So they're gonna sell it and possibly the new owners.
No.
So,
Well, I understand that.
And the Cohen one, that's from quite a while ago.
that's from a while ago.
He said, so Carissa said that she's not sure that they're even going to proceed with that. When I stopped at the house one day and I asked her about it.
Is that for Jake's fence?
Yeah,
We just needed a letter saying that.
Yeah, we just needed neighbor approval, basically.
Yep.
Nothing back from KLJ on courthouse up.
No, nothing.
but I did have a phone conversation with Tom Eblin. They've considered the possibility of angle parking on the west side of that lot, on the courthouse lot. I said just on the face of it, I didn't have any objection to that. It would just be an engineering issue and runoff issue.
They still want to put a pad in there though, for parking,
No, I think if they went with that angle parking, then I think they'd be done,
so we could maybe still utilize that for retention.
possibly.
That'd be
We wouldn't have
ideal.
to create too deep a well there in order
What's
to,
Steve say, 5?
7, I think it was.
So-
it'd have to be 7 feet deep.
Whatever the lowest point of the drainage is. Because basically it's made to, and I have the plan here.
And it's not like it's a straight drop off there, it's gonna be tapered, so
Yeah.
it's still gonna be able to be.
It's
Low.
dry 90%. It's dry unless water's coming in.
So their plans are not to extend the parking lot, they're just gonna reconfigure the one they have.
Well, they're just gonna cut the sidewalk out down the west side of the property and move it in an angle park there, like we do
Boulevard trees
down
there?
diagonal parking like we have downtown. Well, there's 4 trees,
4 on the boulevard part?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So that would still have to come through us and
Yeah.
get engineered and
Yeah, they know they know that this is a project for down the road, so. I just said that, we'd be happy to look at whatever it is that they wanna propose.
Cause that's an issue over there, we can't, it's kind of maybe out of our jurisdiction, or if that's the right word to use. Cause that parking over there, I mean, it's all weekend long, it's all, them guys park right on the corner of that. You know, there's no signs up there saying they can't park there, but where the people are living in that house on the corner, sometimes they gotta pick up in a trailer there, and then he's got his other pickup in a car there.
This
I
is,
mean-
what's his name's house?
Yeah, I think it saves Jim Engel's house, the hired men live there.
Oh,
But them vehicles are parked on the corners, and
yeah,
that is bad enough the way it is, and it's just a nightmare over there.
We can look at, I'll talk with
Uh,
John and we can look at possibly putting signs in.
It needs to be back to where the street comes, you know, where the streets, when you're coming east, and you turn off, I mean, there should be no parking on that corner.
Yeah,
We'd probably do similar to what they haven't come in yet, but over by the school, we're putting in no parking between the signs and no parking here to the corner, so.
And
yeah.
maybe, you know, I know it's gonna, they're not, I mean, the people working at social services and the bank employees are getting, it's not gonna hurt them at all because there's other vehicles parked there
Yeah.
nonstop. And it just, on a day, you're coming around that corner and the pickup's parked there, you have to wait for the car to come through.
Mhm.
But I think at some point it did come up with angle parking there before.
Might have, I don't recall it, but, the other junction like that is the corner over here across from Paul's place where the bus sits for the daycare, and we could move that bus a little bit further to the south.
Well, we won't have to deal with that much longer.
Well, there's no place for them to go.
Huh?
There isn't a place for them to go, is there?
Well, it's been sold, I thought.
Well, it's been sold, but I don't know that there's any immediate plan. Because
To move?
there is no immediate plan for daycare to go somewhere else that I know of. I mean, they wanted to build a building, and she came to me and asked me to help them get a nonprofit status, and I haven't been able to get any financial statements that I can use, so they're not gonna be building a building or getting nonprofit status anytime soon.
Which the vehicle could just park in the back, but
50% of the time it is,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I'd say for the kids getting on and off the bus, if it's in the back anyway.
I can see what I can do on that too.
Okay, we talked about the county, we talked about the parking issues. Anything else, Kevin? Brent? Luke? Matt?
I have one on the permit itself for that application. There's a lot of information on there. And a lot of it is barely ever checked or used or looked at by the people who are filling it out. And there may be some things on there we should be adding.
So the reason that it is what it is we used to have two,
Mhm.
and one was for Midwest and one was for us. I think it got confusing because we were getting the wrong application. So this is basically Midwest application. So we could add things if you guys want to see more stuff
We
to it.
combined two to make one.
Two to make one.
General
I'm more inclined on the backside. There's a lot of good information there, but it's not, I mean,
But this is Midwest stuff, so.
so that's there, so we're not modifying that.
Correct.
Okay.
We could put something on here and say, if, I don't know how you would,
I guess the few things I question is, it's when we approve a shed or a garage, we're approving it because we know the person or the area, but we don't know, is it eaves gonna match the house? You know, what color is it gonna be? Or is it going to be a steel roof, you know, allowed or not allowed? Simple things like that could prevent some heartache when they start building it. You could have blue house and a white garage, and which might be fine if we approve it, but we don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And their neighbors may not want that at all if it stands out, or if they use old, there's a lot of questions with that I would be concerned about.
Well, the one example that I can think of is the front of our house lines up with all the rest of the houses on our street. And then the neighbor's house has a porch on the front that I don't think aligns with everything else, or else the house is set back further than everybody else's.
This committee trying to balance, the ease of living in a small community and having some flexibility with having rules to keep the town looking good and to continue to improve it is what we're supposed to be doing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And right now, some of that is missing on that permit to allow us to even make that decision.
Right. So you could, because the only place that would come into play is on a shed or those smaller structures.
Correct.
Because most of them are going to be, and on the residential, same ones. Midwest is going to look at those things. But when you guys decided to have that sheds are, as long as it's a smaller shed, here, maybe we just need to make a separate application for sheds.
It might be like, what made me think of that, I've been thinking about it a bit, but we have that, the one shed we're approving tonight, or we approved.
Yep.
It's just a shed on a concrete slab. And we're not having Midwest look at that, correct? So our setbacks are assumed based off flat, which is fine, that's small town living. However, is that permit applicable to something of that nature? And do we know that maybe they're putting barnwood siding on, their house is vinyl? Which is fine if we know that and we approve it, neighbors are okay too to an extent. I just don't think that application is applicable to some of these external detached buildings.
Right.
See, I think a part of us are subconsciously assuming they'll just make it with like construction and
Correct.
like colors and like
And for
common sense.
my permit, I had order siding, it showed up, and I realized I made a mistake. So when I should have went back, so I found the original spec siding matched my house. But the way it was approved, I could have put that siding up, and if I was willing to deal with that,
You could have put
I
hot
could have
pink up
put,
there.
I could have done that.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like John Wright's garage. That's basically a pole shed.
No,
it's
not really. It's framed.
It's framed,
He's just
yeah.
used steel side or
He's
steel.
using steel siding that matches the house.
Yeah, the color matches.
The color matches, but still to have steel siding, I mean.
But that one went to Midwest too. So and that's what, he looks at this, is my understanding anyways, and my understanding is that he looks at this, they send all their plans and specs, and if they're missing anything, then he goes back and will ask questions, but we just probably need another sheet for you guys to see on those sheds that has the materials and some of the other stuff.
Well, I have a question. Is there rules that say that you have to be this color or you have to use this siding? I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
I'm
do we
kinda
have
new here, but-
regulations?
There isn't
I
necessarily.
mean, I don't
No,
see.
not here.
There is in yours,
Yeah, now I can see a development like
in the
that's
developments there are,
development. They may say before anyone starts, this is what it's got to be.
but there isn't any.
We don't have restrictions here, like for steel roofing or anything, do we?
Yeah, I had to submit that prior to sending it to the city to get the approval for those reasons. And I'm not saying we have to hold people, and I don't think that we should have a standard it has to match and city limits, but we should at least know, so if we have concern, we as a committee can discuss it. Because you're building an 8x10 shed and you have very expensive steel siding in your house, I don't believe that should be necessary to have that exact on your 8x10 shed up back. But we don't know.
Well, I'd be concerned also about having a plastic shed. You had regular siding on your house and garage, but then you bring in a plastic shed.
And that might be fine, but we don't know.
Yeah.
I think just having that information will help this committee make a decision. Otherwise, it's an unknown.
Okay.
So if you guys, I would say, come with some of those things that you want,
Yeah.
or message them to, or text them into the office and Abby, and then she can kind of compile that list for the next meeting and maybe even draft something up.
So I mean, at least if we knew the paint color scheme, I guess, the construction type, the.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it doesn't
they
have,
wanna use,
maybe it doesn't have to be a separate application, it'd just be an added sheet onto it that says,
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a lot.
right,
Just a few
almost
things.
like paint me a picture without giving me a picture.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay, so for the next meeting, we're gonna look at the definition of addendum.
Mhm.
And we will, take a look at building permit issues or, concepts that we wanna add to a worksheet on sheds.
Or those smaller projects that you guys
Yeah.
don't send off to Midwest.
It's 5:56. Is there any other business?
There's this,
Oh, yeah. The ordinance.
the ordinance.
So what did he?
So he added in, human habitation means the act of using, occupying, and habitating a vehicle in a permanent or temporary basis at the place of residence or lodging. He added that in, and then he added it in number 7, a recreational vehicle may be occupied or used for human habitation in areas outside of recreational parks if approved by permit from the city of Hillsboro. Such permit will allow occupy of human habitation of rec vehicle for up to 2 weeks. The permit must be obtained within 3 days starting the use, and 2-week period shall be retroactive to the first day of use. Permits for such use of recreational vehicles must be extended by a majority vote of City Commission upon special request to the Commission, and only if there is extenuating reason or circumstance such as ongoing remodeling of a residence or similar items. Such extended permission will not be provided to allow a recreational vehicle to be used as ongoing primary permanent residence.
I'm comfortable with both of those.
I think that was, and then all violations are $1,000 per day per violation. And that was in there before, I believe. So.
With the added language, is anybody willing to make a motion to approve the draft ordinance?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, does somebody like to make a second?
I will second.
Kevin seconds the motion. Any further discussion, further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
One thing,
Oh, hold on.
who's the enforcement on this? Who's that fall under?
City commission then to the sheriff's
It
department.
was city and, yep, it doesn't fall under you guys.
Perfect.
We're just approving it to pass it on to the city commission to get it
Okay.
approved.
Any other concerns?
Oh, I just have one. What if a party, maybe they have a 6-month project that they need to do something and they need to,
It can be approved, and that's why that,
Yeah.
it can be approved?
it can be approved on majority
I
vote.
missed that. Okay.
Approve for a zero cost permit fee.
The biggest thing is just getting them to say that they're using it when, and
For
if,
emergency? No.
or emergency, or,
I mean, for if something happens for an
Yeah.
emergency. That's one of the things was discussed last month.
yep.
So we know that somebody's there
Yeah.
or where they're at.
And it makes me think of like, beach season, if for some reason the park is all full and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
someone's got cousins coming down to stay and, I don't know. Be one of those circumstances.
All right, further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed to the same sign. Motion carries. Ordinance will be presented to the city commission.
So this isn't finalized, but I will give you guys the high overview of the storm master plan. What came in on this one more so than what you guys seen on those other items was recommendations. And they're actually written down in a little bit more. The first thing would follow into you guys where it's the stormwater standard adoption is what they're recommending for us. And they did put in some for you guys to have. Just a draft one, so I'll send that out for you guys if you want it, so you can look at it and make some adjustments or changes and so on and so forth. But basically it's just saying that they need to keep whatever water on their design. Whatever water was previously being held by that property needs to be continued held. 4.2, the other point was there's 3 retaining ponds that they looked at. The north, which is 3.4 acres, which is 7 feet with a side slope of 3.1. It's 3.4 acre feet. It's 0.6 acres. So
There's no way that's 3 acres.
So that is the north one,
Okay.
which would be the courthouse one. The south one they're looking at is going to hold 12.3, a depth of 6 feet with a still slide slope of 3.1 and 2.2 acres. And then the east would be looking at by the school property is same thing, 4 foot deep, 3.1 slope and 1 acre.
Where on that property were they planning on putting it?
They didn't have any designated area. They just said this is where it could go. Ultimately, we'd have to work with the school to determine.
And clearly, they wouldn't put it in the footprint of where they want to build. So.
Nope. And then they go into a little more detail in that improvement. The other thing that they said that we need to do is inlet and lateral improvements. A lot of our inlets are not sized properly, so if we can resize those with another project, that'll help. And they even said the laterals from the inlet down to the main drain is not sized properly. And they gave a whole list of all of those.
Size properly to whose specs?
To their specs that they're figuring for the whole plan. And then there's some connections that will go into that. And then
What reference did they cite for the sizing of that? Did they mention that at all?
I can't remember because everyone was a little different. They have a cubic feet per second is on the location. So how much cubic feet needs to be in there or be able to handle.
Is that based on 100-year?
It's based on the 100-year fund.
Okay, they don't have any additional assumptions in there? Like say if 100 years, 10 cubic feet, do they round it up to 11.2?
I guess I didn't ask that question.
Okay.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I'd rather err on the higher side.
Well, yeah, but there would be a cost with that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And does that increase the pond sizes?
Possibly, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because with the larger inlets and
And
transfers, it would flow faster.
And with this master plan, what they've done, or this model they've put into ArcGIS, is that they can put different size pipes
And see how it
in and
affects.
see how it affects everything
Yeah, I
else.
remember you
Though.
saying that.
Mhm.
That's the one nice thing about this. Or if the courthouse is putting in they can say, all right, this is how it's going to affect it.
Yep. Put it in and rerun the software and it kicks out new data.
Right, and that was the nice point. I told them we already used it when Dan Manthe was putting in
the,
road over there, what size culvert needed to go in, so.
Guys, I need to excuse myself. I got a bunch of stuff going on over here.
We can close it if you want, I can just go over the rest of it with you. The rest
I'll
of it.
make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
One second.
All right, meeting's adjourned at 6:05.
So the rest will just be informational of the stormwater master plan.
Just before you leave, I drove by that one camper a while back and I didn't see any hookups. So that's why I assumed that they weren't really living there, maybe just using it, because I looked for electrical and sewer.
Well, there is a wire coming out of the trailer at Trudy's house. I don't know
That
where
one I
it's
don't know
going.
about.
And I've driven the alley behind Keith's place, and
It did have a wire.
I have not seen it recently, but
Yeah, it was before, I know that, but
But I didn't see no sewer
there's no
or
sewer.
water.
No.
So, I mean, couldn't really live in there without sewer and water. I mean,
Well,
you could just use it as a place to rest.
that's what we had with the one in Burger King parking lot and over by the church.
Yeah, didn't have sewer and water either. Thank you guys for accommodating my
No problem.
goofed up schedule.